Hey everyone, today I want to answer one of the questions that I get asked most commonly about axolotls, and that is where to get one. Axolotls have been getting a lot of popularity in the pet trade in the last couple of years. They're a little bit harder to come by than betta fish or goldfish or corn snakes or ball pythons or something like that, and so a lot of chain pet stores don't carry them. On top of that, they have very specific water requirements that a lot of pet stores can't meet, and so it just doesn't make sense for them to carry them in the first place because the temperature that they keep the water in the chain pet stores at is usually much, much warmer than what the axolotls need. Now that being said, I have heard of a Pet's Way or a pet supermarket having an axolotl before, but it's far and few between. Oftentimes they don't carry them either. So where can you get an axolotl? Well, the good news is a lot of people have been very successful in breeding them, and so they are widely available if you know where to look. The first place I recommend you look is your local fish store or exotic store if you have one. By local fish store, I don't mean PetSmart. I mean a place that specializes in fish or fish and exotics. There's a couple of fish stores in my area that do carry axolotls, one of them being a store called Tropical World Pets. Now, they're not just a fish store, they're also an exotic store. However, 90% of their store is fish. There's also another fish store near me called Aqua World. Now, they just carry fish. I don't think I've ever seen axolotls in there. I'm not saying they don't get them, but I've never seen them in there. And so with your local fish stores, it is kind of hit or miss, but if you find a fish and exotic store, it becomes a little bit more likely that you will find an axolotl. That's actually where I got my axolotl, Amy, was from my local fish and exotic store, Tropical World Pets. Now obviously this would be the most convenient place to get your axolotl because you can inspect the axolotl before you take it home. You can see how it's behaving, you can see if there's any problems with it. You can also see the aquarium and the environment in which it's being kept and check for things like problems in the tank, such as dead animals. It would probably be a bad idea to buy an axolotl out of a tank that has dead animals in it. That's my general rule with aquatics, is I won't buy anything that's in a tank that has dead livestock in it. I just feel like you already know you're not getting a healthy animal if you do that. But if everything looks good and healthy in the tank, if the axolotls look good, if the water looks good, then by all means, that is the #1 place that I would suggest that you buy an axolotl from. You don't have to worry about shipping or anything like that. The store can just go ahead and bag that axolotl up for you right then and there, and you can go ahead and take it home right away. The next place that I would suggest looking for an axolotl would be at your local reptile expos. There's several different reptile expos that happen here in my area, here in St. Louis. It seems as if there's one every 2 or 3 months. If you live in a less populated area, that may not be the case, but if you are near a major city, or even a somewhat major city, then reptile expos should be pretty commonplace in your area. You can just get online and you can search for reptile expos in your area, see when the next one is, and go and see if they have axolotls. I've been going to every reptile expo in my area for the last couple of years, and I have never not seen axolotls at the expo. One of the big advantages of buying at a reptile expo is you're buying directly from the breeder. And when you buy directly from the breeder, they will know exactly what kind of genetics the animal has and exactly how it's been cared for since it was hatched. They'll be able to offer you a lot better care advice than a pet store will. Now, I do believe that you should research axolotls very heavily before just going and buying one. Don't just let the breeder that you buy the axolotl from be the only place that you get care advice from. You need to research heavily to take care of an axolotl because, like I said at the beginning of this video, they do have very specific requirements. Also, at a reptile expo, you're going to have a bigger variety of axolotl morphs. There's wild types, there's albinos, there's leucistics, there's melanoids, and even chimeras are being produced with frequency. Some of the axolotls that you can get at expos even glow under blacklight due to genetic manipulation that was done to their bloodline. Obviously not all of them do. Amy, for example, does not glow under black light, but I got her from a pet store, not from an expo. The downside to getting them from an expo is they are kept in a pretty small volume of water. At the expo, you don't really get to see what kind of tank they're kept in long term. They're usually kept in a Tupperware dish or something like that at the expo, so you don't know if they're coming from a tank with dirty water or if they were raised in a tank with fish that were nipping at them. You don't know if they've been cohabitated with other axolotls. You don't know what kind of substrate they were on before you got them. You just don't know these things. But you can ask these questions to the breeder. If the breeder's any good, they will be honest with you and answer all of those questions truthfully. But there are some shady breeders at expos as well that will just tell you what you want to hear to get the sale. The next place that you can buy an axolotl from is actually online from a breeder directly. There are axolotl breeders all over the world. As long as axolotls are legal to keep in your area, then you should have no problem finding a breeder in your area, or at least in your country. One great place to look is Facebook groups. I know there are a lot of axolotl breeders on Facebook, and they are very active in axolotl and amphibian groups. I don't really use Facebook myself at all for anything, so I can't vouch for any particular axolotl or amphibian group on Facebook, but if you get on there and you look for groups in your area, I'm sure that you will find something. And just make sure that whoever you do end up getting your axolotl from, that you have researched that breeder extensively. Another place where I very frequently see axolotl breeders post what they have for sale is on Instagram. There are a lot of breeders very active on Instagram, and they do a lot of business on that platform. Obviously, Instagram doesn't have e-commerce just like built into their platform, so make sure that whoever you're buying from, again, is reputable. Make sure you've researched that breeder beyond just looking at their Instagram posts, and make sure that the axolotl that you're seeing pictures of is the axolotl that you're getting. And another place is actually from amphibian forums. There is a particular forum called cawdata.org, and this is a forum for newt and salamander enthusiasts, and axolotl keepers and breeders are a very large population of that website. The forums on cawdata.org do have a buy-sell trade area where breeders will oftentimes sell their axolotls that they have produced. But again, just like with Facebook or Instagram or any other place online where you find a breeder, make sure you research that breeder extensively prior to committing to purchasing an axolotl from them. And the last place I'm going to suggest looking for an axolotl is through some sort of rehoming or rescue situation, potentially through something like Craigslist or whatever the Canadian version is. What is that, Kijiji? I don't know, I'm American. The upside to this is you're going to be able to find an axolotl for very cheap, but there are a lot of downsides to this. The axolotl may be unhealthy. It may be sold with a tank that is far too small for it or that hasn't been maintained properly. The axolotl may be kept with tank mates that have been nipping at it, eating its gills or its limbs, so the axolotl may have visible damage to it. Oftentimes when people list aquatic animals on Craigslist, their tank has not been properly maintained, and so they may suffer from gill damage, ammonia burn, or something like that. So it is entirely possible that you may end up with a sick animal. However, if a rescue or rehome situation is what you're looking for, then Craigslist or Kijiji is probably one of the first places you should look. I would not trust a breeder that is listing their animals on Craigslist, however. That's usually going to be like a backyard breeder kind of situation, someone who doesn't really know what they're doing. I'm sorry if I offend anyone who breeds animals and lists them on Craigslist. I'm not trying to come at you. Don't come at me. You might even get lucky. You might find a good, healthy axolotl on Craigslist. You know, some sort of situation where the person just can't take care of it anymore because, you know, maybe they're moving, maybe they're going off to college, maybe they've got a kid on the way and they need to get rid of the pets to save money to take care of the kid. But whatever the reason is, it is entirely possible that you may find somebody who has taken good care of their axolotl. Well, there you have it, guys. That's my suggestion on a few different places where you can look for an axolotl to take home. If you are looking to get an axolotl, I very strongly suggest that you do a lot of research into their care if you haven't already. There are a ton of great resources out there regarding axolotl care. I have even done a couple more videos on them myself. I'm hoping that those videos brought you here and that you're not watching this video before those other ones, but if you haven't seen those other videos yet, please go watch them. I'm going to put them up on the screen right now. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that like button if you did. And also, if this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button as well. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.